Hi, I'm Robin Meyer with the East Cobb Quilters Guild, and I'm here today for another one of our interviews in a series called Who We Are. It's designed to introduce members of our guild to the community at large and to other members of our guild as well. So today we're going to talk with Devon Pfeif. Devon's been a member of the guild for quite some time, and this year she is our first vice president, president-elect, and in 2024, we're looking forward to her being president of the guild. So Devon, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to hear more about your quilting.
Well, thanks, Robin. Thank you for asking me to do this.
Well, it's a lot of fun. We've enjoyed the conversations that we've had, and I know we'll enjoy this one too.
I've been
Oh,
looking at them every month, so yeah.
oh, good, good. So tell us a little bit about what drew you to quilting, and when was that? How did you get started in this craft we all love so much?
Well, I wanted to back up a little bit. I really started my art in batik.
Huh?
Always loved working with fabric, um, and I love color and problem solving. And batik, you're working in reverse because you're covering what you don't want colored.
Mm.
Um, so I did that for 12 years, selling it at art shows and galleries. And it really wasn't until I started doing other things. I did that for 12 years, but then got into banners and hot air balloon banners, um, and was really searching for other fabric mediums.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it really wasn't until I moved to Georgia, and took me a couple of years, but I saw some quilts that I really, really liked. There were, so I wasn't quilting really, I was just doing things with fabric,
Mm-hmm.
making things for kids, making little tooth fairy pillows, doing all kinds of things with fabric that really weren't quilting. Um, I'm trying to think, I guess it's 14 years ago that I met Ben Hollingsworth.
Mm-hmm.
We had a mutual, very good friend, and I did a lot of things with her until she said, "Oh, you've got to meet Ben because he does so much, all kinds of not just quilting, not just fabric work, but painting and everything else." Um, and he encouraged me to do a show, so I did do a quilt, and we entered a show together down in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really liked it. I really liked the process of showing with other people, having quilts on display. Um, so I did some workshops um, after I joined the guild,
Mm-hmm.
and found that I really like to do things a little differently. So the workshops I had a hard time with because I didn't want to do it the way some of the instructors wanted me to. Um, but you learn a lot every time you take a workshop. So that was fine. I still have some that I haven't finished yet, my UFOs.
So say
But
we all.
yes, we do. Um, but I saw a one block wonder, and really liked the process of the 6 pieces of fabric turning into a hexagon, and the movement you have with the one block wonder. Actually, the one behind me is one, and rather than using one fabric, I used 5 fabrics to see if I
Oh,
could blend them. That's sort of been what I've done with all of them, rather than just one. I did a very large one, and the manufacturer had made 3 different sizes, the exact same colors, not necessarily the same print.
mm-hmm.
And I tried to mix them, and that didn't work very well. So the bottom is the bigger, middle is the middle size, and the top is the smaller.
Ah,
And after that is when I did this one where I blended different fabrics, but all the same size.
yeah.
I'm always trying to problem solve. And that's what I like about quilting is not just following a pattern, but maybe taking a pattern and then going off on my own.
Right.
Um,
Right.
really enjoy that process.
Um, What what do you think are your best quilts? What are your favorite quilts? I see another one over your shoulder that I think is you're pretty well known for as well.
Well, that one was a challenge. One of our challenges was all about me. Took me a long time to figure it out, so it was not done on time. But I thought about all about me is the 40 years of doing stuff with fabrics. And years ago, I had seen I think it was Time magazine cover that was Diana, all done in little squares of roses.
Ah,
It's just light roses to get the values. So I said, okay, I'm going to try that. So brought out tons and tons of fabric. We all have lots of fabric. I remember my husband saying, why do you have a piece of Courtney's first piano recital dress? You never know when you're going to need it. And
right.
so I wanted to do it in color. I did do a value chart. Actually, I turned a picture into values of 1 inch, 2 inch square, 1.5 inch squares. I'm sorry, 1.5 inch squares. And found all kinds of things that I love doing. And it was like going down memory lane. I call it life's journey.
Mhm.
And actually, everything in it is from something. Valances, my daughter's wedding dress, banners, costumes. And as I did it, I thought, well, I'm going to find all the pictures. And so I actually made a booklet that explains the process. It's all fabric.
Oh my goodness.
And then it's got pictures from all the pieces of fabric that are in this, which was just wonderful to go through. And it's traveled to a lot of shows. I now don't let it go because it does get worn out going to different shows.
Right.
But really, that's means so much to me. That's probably my favorite quilt.
Well, what I recall of it was that it's was the dimensionality, because some of the area in your hair is actually not sewn flat. I guess it's the best way to describe it to our viewers, but you can slide your fingers up under it. And I think
Yeah.
that was just a delightful touch and makes it even more appealing than the face is, which I mean, the face is already ragingly appealing, but the whimsical nature of the hair, I
And
think, is great.
most of my quilts have 3-dimensional things. The one behind me, I cut out the little birds, and they're 3-dimensional all through the quilt. Some of the water lilies are too. Um, so the ones I really like all have that aspect. I did a workshop with David Taylor, and his process of turning his edges for applique, and did one a picture of my granddaughter, and the hair is all flying in the breeze because she's out in the breeze.
Right.
So that was lots of fun. And since then, most of mine are 3-dimensional.
Well, that's very interesting. That's an interesting thread through your work, which might seem to be very different, but I guess that really does tie it together. I know that you're a little famous for entering the Cherrywood challenges. Can you tell us a little bit about the Cherrywood challenge for folks who might not know,
Yeah.
and why it appealed to you and how much fun you've had?
Okay, I do have some pieces to actually show you. I first saw it, their first one was Wicked, and that was 9 years ago. And I was in a show that had some of the Wicked pieces up, and I thought, oh, I really like this. It was 20 inches by 20 inches, 4 greens and a black, and that's all that was in it.
And just for our listeners, Cherrywood is a fabric company.
Yes.
And so they pick 4 or 5 fabrics and issue a challenge around
yes.
it, right?
They hand dye their fabrics. They're in Minnesota, and they're beautiful. They feel like suede. They're beautiful to work with. And they challenge you to use just those fabrics, or sometimes you can use other fabrics of theirs, but never anybody else's. And you can embellish. You can do ribbons, all kinds of embellishment. which I will show you some of them that I did just to stretch it further.
Okay.
So the next year was The Lion King, and that is my favorite musical, even though orange and yellow and gold are not my favorite colors. Those are the colors we had. So I actually called her because I decided I wanted to do the mask of Mufasa, and I wanted to batik it because I wanted it to look like wood.
Oh,
So I called her to say, your fabric will show through, but can I wax it and dye it? I wanted the black cracks. And she said, well, we'll see. And so it was accepted. And actually, the Disney people that were putting on the play in New York City chose it as one of the ones to come for their anniversary. So
wow.
yeah.
What an honor.
Yes. And for the first time in, I was just pleased it got in, let alone going to New York. So in this one, I actually took, this is burlap ribbon that I put the colors with floss of the top of it. And let me see. Yeah. So that was a fun thing to do. And it fit with what I wanted to do.
Right. The most important part.
And the next year, they did Van Gogh. And my thought about Van Gogh was looking at so many of his paintings, grew up with my mom loving Van Gogh. And I thought about an artist has swirling ideas all the time going through their head. And so I thought about it, but decided that's what I wanted to do. So I wanted to do a portrait of Van Gogh with his paintings
Oh, wow.
around his head. So I have lots of things at home. I had plastic, very heavy plastic. So I made bands with his paintings, and it's all fussy cut and quilted, and then put in this plastic that makes it bow out.
Right. Right. How interesting.
And yes, really good. I got a recognition for creativity on that one. And it was lots of fun to do. And then the next year was Prince. And having done it 2 years, I said, okay, I'm probably going to do this every year. So with Prince, I watched lots of videos. A lot of periods of his life I did not like, didn't appeal to me. But the cherrywood fabric feels like suede. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do a portrait of him later years, and I want to put him in a purple velvet jacket. So that was my starting point. And I started with his arm, my purple jacket, and it just grew from there. This one, I wanted, like on the hair, I wanted to look like he was performing, and I wanted sparkles, but you really can't use glitter. But I found a ribbon that had sparkles in it, and so I put 2 layers together to make in front of his hair. This one, the arm is 3-dimensional, comes out 1 inch with his microphone, and the end of the microphone is actual heavy like metal ribbon.
Okay.
And then I wanted a white shirt, which is not one of the things they had. So that is a satin ribbon.
Okay. Because it had to be an embellishment.
It could be an embellishment, and I could use the ribbon. And then the glyph, I wanted that in there. So that's just a plastic shiny thing I found that I cut up and made as glyph and chains. So I was happy it got in, but then was really surprised it won first place. It was really an honor. Yeah.
It was an honor for the Guild to have you in it when you won first place. So thank you for sharing the light.
Well, it was wonderful that the Guild paid to have some of them come to the Maple House in a show. That was really wonderful, and I really appreciate that.
It was a great party.
Yes. My whole my family came down from Kentucky, and yeah, it was really, I really enjoyed that. Um, and other than the challenges, and they're only once a year, they just came out with a new one, which is poppy, with lots of reds and greens, meaning the flower.
Right.
I saw it today for the first time, so I have no idea, but I'll probably do it. I love working the fabric. It's very expensive now, but I'm sort of hooked.
Well, we all understand about that. We certainly do. So meeting Ben is what brought you to the East Cobb Quilters Guild.
Yep.
And
Yep.
So what was your first impression when you walked in the room and there were 100 other people who sewed and quilted and carried on?
It's always overwhelming if you're brand new. I can't remember. Ben was probably at that first meeting. But everybody was welcoming. It was interesting to have people up at show and tell, seeing what everybody does, and it was all kinds of quilting, which I loved. And I quickly found I wanted to get involved and joined, and ended up working in the library with Sally Yorger. And that's what I liked about the guild. It takes the entire guild to run the guild, and it's a wonderful thing to get involved. My favorite time is show years, because you're working with so many people and you get to know a lot of members, and a lot of wonderful friends. And yes, and people have different skills, not only in the quilting world, but in the rest of the world.
Yes.
Webmasters and people that have been financial planners. So it's wonderful to work with all those intelligent, wonderful people.
I think it keeps our brains moving in directions we might not have planned.
Yes, definitely.
So as far as the quilt show is concerned, I know you've been active in it for as long as I think you've been in the guild almost. And I think again this year you're involved in laying out the quilt show. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Actually, I have somebody that's helping me this year.
Ah,
I've done it for a number of years. And I like figuring out where things go. I've always done puzzles and work with color, and think I'm good with colors. So it appeals to me to figure out these quilts will go together, where they will go, and lots of people to help with actually hanging and doing everything.
so
and
you get a list of 300 and some odd quilts and their dimensions and pictures of them.
Yes.
And from that, you figure out where each and every one of them is going to go.
Yes, we do have categories. So the pictures come in their categories. And we have a specific layout, which now is a zigzag layout that I really think works better than the booths. So we don't know if we're going to use 2 rows, 1.5 row for that, for those quilts, whether it's art quilts or applique. So it's a big puzzle, and I really like doing that. So it's been a lot of fun, and working with the guild, setting up and the whole show. Yeah.
It's really amazing to me how many people it takes to make it work, and how well people work together to make it happen.
Yes, and that's such a nice thing to see.
It is.
Everybody coming together, whether they're a hostess or helping out, it doesn't matter where they are. It's wonderful to see everybody getting involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think of the Civic Center as and the quilt show as a little bit like Christmas. Before Christmas, there's no Christmas tree. It's just the corner of the living room, and then voila, it's almost like somebody sprinkles fairy dust, and this gymnasium turns into a quilt show. And instead of a kind of pedestrian, plain old 1970s gymnasium, it's fairyland for quilters, and you play a big role in making that happen. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you. Well, it takes everybody working on it. Yeah,
it does.
I did want to tell you that I do like working small. That's one of the other things I like about Cherrywood. And took a workshop, and it was Toby Lisko, and as a present, she gave us tiny little, yeah. uh, Sorry,
Like mini charms?
no,
Oh,
plastic things you cut around. What did
oh,
I do?
templates.
Templates. I'm
There we
sorry.
go. Okay.
And I got them home. They hung in the studio for a while. And then I thought, I think I'm going to use those just to see if I could do something. And I love silk, and thought, looking at some ties in the closet, decided it would be wonderful to do silk ties.
Hmm.
And made, I've only made two, but I have four that have started. But it was a challenge to pick a pattern and make the hexagon, but then find another pattern that went with it. So this won first place one year in our quilt show in miniatures. And I hope to do
remember
a
that.
whole series. I've done a red series. This is a blue one. But I went around and asked retired men, do you have ties, silk ties? You'd be surprised how many I got. But it was interesting because there were colorations. Guy across the street was olive and gold. Most of his ties, those colors. Another guy was silver, black, and red. So I probably have about 1,000 ties now, since people give them to me rather than Goodwill.
Right.
So I'd like to do a whole series, all the same size in different colorations. So that's one of my projects on the back burner right now. So that's been a fun project. And I also want to do the challenge again this year. But being president, I'm not sure I'm going to have at the time between now and January 31st.
Right. The guild challenge.
A guild challenge, yes.
Right.
Guild challenge.
Musical madness. Right. Right.
Music madness. Yeah.
Well, I think we all have more quilts in our heads than our fingers are ever going to produce.
Yes. And more fabric than we'll ever be able to use.
Yes, I think that too. I think that too. Well, do you have any advice for new members of the guild as they do the same thing you did, which is walk in that room and see a whole bunch of people all of a sudden?
Actually, we're doing something new. We started this year, is having somebody to go with them, like just to help them find a seat together, stay with them for that first meeting, and that seems to work very well. So they feel comfortable if they're coming in not knowing anybody. But the best thing is to get involved. Yes, if there's something that you really like, we have lots of opportunities. So, if you like working in the library, Merrill always needs help. Technology people, they're always needing help for in programs and community service. So there are always lots of jobs and wonderful people.
I think so too. And the jobs come in all sizes. I mean, it can be holding up quilts at show and tell, or it can be chairing a committee that, involves, a year-long commitment. We have something for everyone, I think.
And even the larger committees, you can get help. Somebody didn't want to do something by themselves, and I said, great. Have somebody else with you. That's fine. Yeah. More people that get involved, the better.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Well, Devon, this has been great. We appreciate so much your talking to us this afternoon, and especially seeing your quilts, some of which I think I've seen all of them, but I certainly haven't remembered all of them until we've walked back through them. So thank you so much. This has been great.
You're welcome. Welcome. Been fun to talk about them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.